fairly famous and very important, a Stephen Jones quote, fairly famous, very important. Mike Fisher in frigid Frisco, reporting on your Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys COO Stephen Jones, many times over the last few years. You can't pay 53 Pro Bowlers. And he's right. You've got to assemble a team of pieces. You can't have 53 All-Stars. Doesn't work that way. Can't have 53 Pro Bowlers. Can't buy that many kind of players. That level of player can't be done. Something's got to give. There's got to be somewhere on your roster where you hang out a little bit, or you give in a little bit, or you cross your fingers a little bit. And obviously, the Cowboys have done this over the years at safety. I think it's time to change that. Not necessarily financially, but in terms of overall assets, overall capital. If you follow us here, you already know Cowboys have, over the last couple of years, had serious flirtations with Earl Thomas and semi-serious flirtations with Jamal Adams. So they are aware. The idea that they don't think safety matters, that's not completely true. Otherwise, they wouldn't have flirted with those two Hall of Fame caliber talents. But sealing the deal is different. They haven't sealed the deal. This time, maybe they can. I'm going to say on the expensive end of this, an examination of Patrick Peterson, the fading star cornerback of the Cardinals, and the concept of moving him to safety should be a serious one. A serious examination of whether that would work and how much it would cost. And I think that after all these years of skipping over safeties, and we can come up with a list where you're going, hey, take him in the second round. Oh, we took Tristan Hill. Hey, take him. Oh, we decided we wanted to emphasize something. Offensive line. Oh, hey, take that. Well, we're going to go with defensive end again. Not that some of those players haven't worked out, but the skipping over safety, that's a trend here. That can be fixed in this draft. So the Patrick Peterson idea should be on the list. And then our man John Owning, who does our podcast at cowboyssi.com and, of course, does great work at the Dallas Morning News, along with our man Jeff Kavanaugh of 105.3 The Fan, helps us with names in the draft. Owning, trio of prospects, Richie Grant, Central Florida. Number one safety in the draft, fits the Cowboys defense like a glove, says John. Next guy, Trevor Morgan, TCU. Big guy, 6'2", 202. Played cornerback in high school, so he's got that going for him. And then, on and on and on, John goes with, hey, you can get this guy lower. You can get that guy lower. I like this guy. There's names. But those are two pop-out names, Grant and Morgan. Jeffrey Kavanaugh, Jeffrey time, gives you three names that he thinks are all up there. Now, Kavanaugh will be the first to acknowledge that the NFL is going to like Grant, they're going to like Morgan, and then he says, the other TCU guy, Darius Washington, that's my guy. Now, Darius Washington is 5'8", 175. So when you talk to Jeff Kavanaugh, 105.3 The Fan, you've heard him say, I like him more than the league does. The league's not going to love a 5'8", 175-pound safety. I get it. He gets it. But this is one of the things about traits and measurements that I do think sometimes gets in the way of not just Cowboy scouting, but NFL scouting. That 6'2" is automatically better than 5'8". All things being equal, it is. If you got two equal basketball players and one of them 6'7" and one of them 6'3", I'll take the 6'7". But are they equal? Or are we overlooking the smaller guy? Winfield Jr., some people in this last draft didn't think he was big enough to do the things that he would have to do continuing from Minnesota, University of Minnesota, to the NFL. They were wrong. Tampa Bay was right. He was a playmaker, a dynamic defensive playmaker as a rookie. Bruce Arians thought he was on par with Chase Young in Washington, which is saying something. But not a gigantic safety, just plays big. So there's Kavanaugh's guys. Washington joining Grant and Morik. Second round looks in this draft like it might be a sweet spot for this stuff. Sweet spot for safeties. But before they do any of this, the Cowboys need to recognize the need for an upgrade. I see it. I think you see it. I read your comments. I think you get it. You got to be better than this. Our video the other day about Xavier Woods and the idea that he's a $25, $26 million safety, you guys, I believe rightly, viewed that as outrageous. There just hasn't done anything to merit that. And he's almost half a decade into a career. By the way, I'm not trying to rip Xavier Woods. It's nothing personal, but he's half a decade into a career, and that contract, you would pay him that based on what you think he's going to do moving forward, and you don't have evidence of that. After his first couple of years, the Cowboys thought he was going to be a star for real. They thought it was like this, and it just didn't go that way. It kind of went like this. Donovan Wilson, he is a playmaker. I would say he's a rotational guy. I'm not saying everybody's got to be Darren Woodson, but let's not confuse Donovan Wilson with Darren Woodson just because they have the same initials. And then Reggie Robinson II. This is somebody that Will McClay really liked out of the draft. They were ecstatic to get him. I think the coaching staff, more than the scouting staff, then moved him from corner to safety. That's fine. They just didn't let him play. And maybe there's two of the answers there. And as I suggested here, there's other people besides Patrick Peterson in this middle-class squeeze at safety that might be available. But recognize that Donovan Wilson and Reggie Robinson probably aren't going to be enough. And that paying Xavier Woods won't make you better. You already weren't paying Xavier Woods, and you're the worst defense in the NFL, arguably. You're on the list. Paying him doesn't solve that. So, Cowboys, I want you to look at not Adrian Peterson, although Adrian Peterson thinks he's going to play how many more years? 4 more years? And break Emmitt Smith's rushing record all time? We might have to talk about that coming up in the next couple days. Because I love, as a guy that grew up a Viking fan, I love what Adrian Peterson's done, what an incredible football story it is. And it's not like I'm being protective of Emmitt Smith when I say, no, hey, listen, go break the record. Except you really want to just hang on to do that. And do you want to be the team that says, we know that, he can still play, but we know he's a supplemental guy. We know he's got his eye. He just wants 700 yards a year for the next 4 years and play to the age of 40. I don't know if I want to be that team. I don't know if I need to sell tickets that much more than actually winning football games. But that's a story for another day. Patrick Peterson, worthy of the examination. That's a $14 million cornerback. Now, I can't do that. We know the Cowboys aren't going to do that. If they wanted to do that, they would have done Byron Jones. So Patrick Peterson, now 30, isn't a $14 million player to me, and maybe even isn't a cornerback. I want the Cowboys to look at Peterson as a safety. I want them to try to sell Peterson on the idea that this is a contending team. Might not be the easiest sell. We're 6-10. And then I want them to additionally, because they don't have to do one or the other, I want them to additionally consider strongly a second-round safety. He's got to be a guy that's right on the board. I'm not telling them to jump up safeties, to over-prioritize safeties, not at all. But based on what John and Jeff are telling us, at 44, there's quality safety play in that range. 3 of them, at least, in that range. And the Cowboys should start getting serious about safety, and especially drafting one. See, then Steven gets his wish. You don't have to pay a Pro Bowl safety. Not if you draft one. Fish, out.